Is Ravi isn't the name I was born with. I mean, it is my legal name now. It has been for the last 20 years. My wife is Mrs. Holy. My children are also holy, or not, as the case may be. But, and there's some of you there. But Ravi Holy was originally my stage name when I was the lead singer of a punk rock band called God's Government. Because, believe it or not, back in the day when I still had hair, that hair was pink and various other colours. I had a Mohican haircut, and I was a squat-dwelling, cider-swilling, speed-snorting punk rocker. All of which raised a few eyebrows when I then applied to become a priest in the Church of England. Although obviously I didn't still have the haircut and the drug problem at that time. But it might have gone easier for me if I had, because in my first interview, the bishop said to me, so it says here that you used to be an anarchist, a drug addict, and a Satanist. But then you became a Christian and started going to a Pentecostal church. I have to say that I'm very uncomfortable with all this. Pentecostalism is not the sort of thing that we oppose in the Church of England, which I found, frankly, bizarre response. You know, Satanism, well, you all do silly things when we're younger. Pentecostalism, well, it's just not British, is it? Not that I would want to suggest that the Church of England is racist in any way. I mean, sexist and homophobic, fair enough. But I genuinely haven't experienced any racial discrimination since I was first ordained 10 years ago, apart from on 2 occasions. The first was when I'd been asked to take a service at a little country church whose regular was away, and they're being told that the visiting preacher was called Ravi. So when I arrived, they all spoke to me very politely, but as if I was foreign. Hello, how long have you been in this country? And you know, the devil in me wanted to say, I have been here for 44 years, and I'm hoping very soon I will be able to speak your language properly, and not to shake my head. So I can see a couple of people looking uncomfortable. It's not racist for me to do that accent, because I am half Indian, which brings me to the second incident. This took place at a conference for clergy I was attending, called something like How to Double the Size of Your Congregation in 2 Weeks, from 5 to 10. No, I'm joking, none of us have that many people anymore. But, I broke it down into small groups, and the guy who was sitting next to me was ranting on about how far the church is in decline in this country and parts of the West in general. In other parts of the world, it's growing like never before. Places like South Korea, parts of Africa. At which point he turned to me and said, "It's like you, mate. Where is it you're from?" Now, I always hate it when people ask me that question, because I never know what they're actually asking. You know, is it, where do you live now? Where were you born? Or why are you brown? So I said what I always say in that situation. I said, I'm from Cambridge. He said, no, where are you really from? I said, I'm really from Cambridge. He said, you can see my birth certificate. He said, you know what I mean, where are your parents from? I said, you know, obviously one of my parents is from a less developed part of the world. She's from Great Yarmouth. But in all seriousness, I do find it pretty disturbing that a priest could be that crass and insensitive. But fortunately, that man isn't a priest anymore. He is now the Bishop of Barnet. Well, not really, that's a joke. But genuinely, I don't think race is a problem in the church anymore. But class still very much is. And the best example I can give is that. My friend Gary, when he went for his interview to become a vicar, the bishop said to him, so Gary, what do you do for a living at the moment? And it wasn't the same bishop that had interviewed me, but they all talk like that, which is sort of the point I'm making. But Gary said, well, I work on a market, don't I? The bishop said, oh, super, just like my son Rupert. Is that futures or derivatives? And Gary he said no fruit and veg. But I'm glad a few people laughed at that joke actually, because the producer of the One Show advised me not to tell it. He said it would go over the heads of their audience. So you're clearly a much more highbrow audience than people who watch the One Show. In which case, I'd be quite interested to see what you make of this one, which I actually wasn't allowed to tell because it was offensive. But this is something that actually happened to me at my last church in South London. I'd just taken an assembly, and at the end one of the teenagers came up to me and said, "So Vicar, if Jesus was the Son of God and that, how come he was so ugly?" And I said, "Where did you get the idea that he was ugly from?" "Well, that's what you said last week, innit?" "Is it?" "Yeah, you said he was born a minger." A manger. He was born in a manger. Okay, well, I like that one. I mean, it works if you kind of know the backstory of it. But getting back to the bishop who interviewed me, I mean, the real reason that he was uncomfortable with my previous church affiliation, the Pentecostal one, not the Church of Satan. Not that I was actually a member of the Church of Satan. I belonged to the more liberal, satanic Church of Great Britain, which had broken away from the original Church of Satan after an argument about whether or not women could be high priests. So, different religions, same old arguments. But from an Anglican perspective, Pentecostals are just a little bit too close to fundamentalists. And you know what they say about fundamentalists? They are no fun and completely mental. But I'll end with just one example of what I mean by that. So the church I used to go to was in West London. One night I arrived late for the evening service. And as I was walking up the path, I saw my friend Gwyneth come rushing out, screaming, "Oh my goodness, I don't believe it!" Some sort of Welsh Victor Meldrew. So I said, "What's the matter, Gwyneth?" She said, "Rodney just swore in the pulpit!" Now, Rodney was the youth pastor in this church, not the sort of person that would swear in any situation. So I said, "Really? What did he say?" She said, "I can hardly bring myself to be dead." He said the four-letter word that begins with a C. I think you're joking. No! What you're actually trying to say is, yes! And God is my witness! Rodney said clap! At which point I felt thoroughly ashamed of myself. I thought she was going to say something much worse than that, which clearly I can't repeat because I want to keep my job. But you've been a lovely audience. Thank you very much.